comes to theming in games, I really just have one little beef. You see, there's lots of games about Cthulhu or nature or space or zombies, and I have a lot of them, but sometimes you want something that's just a little different in terms of theme that isn't just another fantasy game that happens in Middle Earth or any other realm. So if you want something that's a little bit different theme-wise, I might just have something for you.
Leave work behind and pull up a chair, my friend, because it's finally time for Games and Trades!
So tonight, we're going to be looking at 11. 11 is a football-themed management game that is really a medium-weight Euro that is about managing a football club in something like the Premier League or La Liga or something pretty similar. The solo scenario I'm playing tonight has to deal with avoiding relegation in a minor league. So for me, sport is something that I am really into. Like if you've noticed my hats on some of the other playthroughs and everything, and the one I've got on right now, I've pretty much grown up just loving baseball, football, American football, basketball, and kind of getting into soccer lately. But it's just one of those themes that hasn't really been expressed very well in many games. There aren't many games that make me feel like I am playing or managing my favorite team or club. 11 does a pretty good job of simulating that management experience, and that's what we're going to take a look at tonight. So for all you sports fans, or just fans of medium-weight Euro games, grab your scarf and your vuvuzela and your jersey or kit of any sort, and let's take a look at 11.
Good evening, everyone. So we have got our game, we have got our drink, and we are all set to go for tonight. We're going to be playing 11, the football management game. So just a quick a bit about the setup for my game tonight. So you'll see here a couple different elements of the board. I had to kind of really smush them together to get them all in the shot so that you could see everything that was going on. But I think we're probably pretty good for this setup. So up here you will see my transfer area. This is going to have my sponsors, my staff, and my potential players up here in these three rows. And as I go around through the game, I will be taking my actions to potentially take the sponsors, take the staff, and take the players to add over into my soccer club. Over here on the top, I have my stadium. Normally, I start with just 2 stands and 2 ad boards, but you may have noticed I have a third stands over here that is not part of the base game, and we'll talk a little bit about how I got that in just a moment. Here in the middle, I've got my club board. This has my income as well as my directors and the maintenance costs that I'm going to have to pay throughout the game. That includes my players, my stadium, and my staff. Over here, I've got my match day board. This has my current configuration for my team. I only have 1 player at the moment because of the scenario I'm playing today, but I'm going to add more throughout the games and try and kind of make my way up the league table, which, speaking of, is right over here. So right here we've got all of our teams, including the newly christened Newbie FC, that we are going to be trying to make our way up through the bottom league of football. So really, the way this game is set up, I think it's kind of coded on the Premier League, but if you prefer like La Liga or one of the South American leagues or the Italian league, then by all means, you can kind of code it any way you like. So getting into our specific setup, so you'll see here I have 3 directors. This is my board of directors who, throughout the course of the game, whenever I have to make decisions in a board meeting, they are going to impact how I make some of those decisions. So I'm going to pull their cards up to the top, and you can see that they have differently colored dice on their card. So when I have a board meeting, I'm going to roll a die, and then whatever selection comes up, that is going to be the way they vote. For example, looking at the yellow options of my dice, if I roll a 1, they would unanimously vote for the yellow option. If I rolled a 2, they would vote 2-1 in favor of the yellow option, and so on. Now, my directors also have some pre-game abilities as far as helping my income, so my different resource generation, and they all have powers that either come at the beginning or throughout the game. So for Anna, she gives me +1 to operations, giving me a generation of 3. Ricardo gives me a fitness of +1, starting me out at 3. And Marco gives me a +1 fan, giving me 3 fan generation. So I start out with the staff cards you see down here. So Manuela is my trainer. She is who I just got at the beginning of the game. All of the first trainers are the same. She is going to let me train my players throughout the game and generate some additional victory points if I have a certain number of trained players. Chloe Davies is a staff that I got from Anna's ability. She, at the beginning of the game, let me draw 3 staff cards, hire 1 for free, and then discard the rest. So I went and chose Claire. Claire is going to let me build an office for less. Offices are going to be worth points at the end of the game. And then at the end, the really great thing about her is that at the end of the week, maintenance is going to cost me 1 less. So you determine your maintenance by looking right over here on my side of the board. So I have a player, a track for players, stadium, and staff. And depending where I am on these different tracks, that's going to be how much maintenance I'm responsible for at the end of the game. If I can't pay my maintenance, then I will lose access to some of my staff, depending on how much maintenance I cannot pay. It'll give them a red card, essentially, for the next couple of weeks, so that I won't be able to utilize them again. All right, so looking through how our week is going to go, we are going to always start out the week on Monday, and on Monday, I am going to pick a card from my board of directors deck. That is going to give me a situation that's happening at this point during the week. It could be like a hostile takeover. It could be some problem with travel, a bunch of different things. And then I'm going to roll my 6-sided die, and my board of directors is going to choose how to resolve that scenario. It could be good, it could be bad, it could be a mix of both things. It just kind of depends. And then after I get all that information and generate my income, I'm going to move into the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday phase. In those days, I can take 3 basic actions and up to 3 bonus actions. So for my basic actions, I can hire a sponsor, I can hire staff, I can hire a player or a youngster, you could see up here on the top of the board. I can make improvements to my stadium, or I can sell a player. So if I want to make room on my squad for some better players, I can sell one of my existing players to get a little bit of money back, and then maybe invest it somewhere else on my board. I can also, as my main action, use one of the actions of my card. Now I can also take up to 1 bonus action per day, and how I do that is I can take an action either that one of my directors has. So Ricardo has the ability to discard all player cards from the transfer area, draw 5 new ones, and then hire 1 at the normal cost. And Chloe, like we looked at earlier, has the action that I can build an office for 1 money less. So what I want to do, I think, early is I definitely want to get a few more staff cards so that I can effectively utilize my bonus actions. And then after all that is done, I'm going to reset back into Monday. So I'll talk, the first time I take each of these actions, I'll kind of talk a little bit more through them so that we get a good idea of what they're doing, and then as I kind of continue to go through, we'll get a good sense. Since I'm playing solo, I am playing a scenario that I've got here up on the screen, and this scenario is surviving the 3rd division. So in this scenario, I was recently promoted to the Professional Football League for the first time in my history, and I have to not be relegated out of that division. So I have 1 win condition, which is I do not finish in the bottom 2. And then my lose condition is I get relegated, which is I finish on the bottom 2 of the table. There is my team and 6 other teams that are on my table right now. So I have to finish in at least 5th place to be able to win the scenario. After that, I'm going to add up all the points that I score throughout the game, both from my staff, my players, my spot on the table, and everything else. I also have a couple of goals for the season that will score me some additional points. In this particular scenario, if I train 3 youngsters, which are my newbie type players, and I have staff cards from 4 different sets. Sets are represented by the different colors on the card, then I'll also score another 4 victory points. A couple of the conditions for this particular scenario is because I've just been promoted to the professional league, I'm just in the very bottom of it, I can only hire regular player cards with strength of 1 or youngsters. So as one of my pre-match conditions, I've gone ahead and removed all of the players from the deck that have a strength of greater than 1, because I cannot attract them. My reputation is bad. And then, of course, if I am the captain of the sinking ship, if I get relegated out of the professional league, I will be fired and I cannot win the scenario. So I'm just gonna pop right into it then, and we'll kind of talk through our turns a little bit so we can see how all these rules are interacting and what the actions look like. And yeah, we'll go through and see if we can avoid disaster in the game. So like I mentioned, I'm going to start out on Monday, and the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at my board of directors. Now, just so you guys don't think I'm stacking the deck or anything, I'll go ahead and give this a quick shuffle at the beginning of the game so I don't know what's coming. There we are. And actually, I'm also going to generate my resources, so I'll get two euros, we'll call them, 3 fans, 3 ops resources, and 3 fitness, and I'll keep them all in a pool right down here. These resources are not finite if you're playing the multiplayer game. So if I have a lot of them, I can go ahead and use the 5 times tab that I have up in here. So first, I'm gonna do my board meeting, and now that I've collected my income. So this card is a sponsor party. So our playmaker was invited to one of our sponsors' parties, but it's the night before a big match. It'll make the sponsor happy, and our playmaker wants to go. What should we do? So my options are, as you can see from pulling the card up, I can let them go. We can't disappoint our sponsor, but they're much too important. The next is I can let the playmaker go, but make sure they're back early so they don't disappoint us on match day. And then the third is refuse to let them go. Who cares about the sponsor? We need our playmaker in peak condition for match day. So you've noticed that on this card, there are the 3 colored options, like we mentioned earlier, the yellow, the blue, and the red. So I'm going to roll my 6-sided die, and I'm going to see how the board of directors go. We can use our fans here to re-roll if we need to, but I would really rather not this early in the game. So we'll roll our die and we'll see where it takes us. So we rolled a 6, which means that our board is unanimously voted on the red option. So we refuse to let them go. I cannot contract sponsors until the end of the week. Place a reminder next to your stadium as a reminder. Oh boy. That is really bad on turn 1. So we may want to re-roll that. It's the result, we'd only get that on a 5 or a 6, so I think that we might be okay. Yeah, I don't think we can let that one go, so I'm going to take one of my fan resources, I'm going to bin it, and then we're going to roll again. So this time we got a 4, which gives us the blue option. That is going to be -1 operational resource, draw the top sponsor card, and contract it if possible. Okay, that's actually a pretty good result for us. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw this top item, and Posh Cars is our sponsor. And this gives us a good opportunity to look at the contract sponsors action, because that's essentially what we're doing. So you'll notice here on our card that we have 3 options for this sponsor. So on the very left where we have the megaphone, that is a shout out sponsor. We can do these throughout the game and we get the benefit that is listed in that column. In this case, it would give us an immediate 3 money. The middle option, which is my ad block, which I can add to my stadium, that I can do one of 2 things. I can either take the benefits that are in the column, in this case it's 3 money and 1 money generation, or I can take the added benefit of the card, which in this case is place 1 strength on 2 chosen players, which is pretty good because those strength markers are permanent, but at the moment I only have 1 player, and I think it's just good to get the resource generation rolling early in the game. So I'm going to choose to make this an ad block sponsor, which is the middle option, and I'm going to take 3 money, and I'm going to increase my cash generation, which I think is almost always a good thing. So I'll take my money, and then I'll move this up 1, and now all of our resources are going to be at 3 from now in the game. So now I'm going to take this card, and I'm going to put it into the first ad board spot in my stadium. So I'm going to put it right here in the ad board and just tuck it in there so I can see that Posh Cars is now being displayed in my in my stadium on some of those ad boards. Okay, so that's a much better start, and I think we can really work with that because we want to be able to contract some of these sponsors if we need some additional resources or if we really like some of the benefits. So that is going to take us into Tuesday. Now, kind of thinking about where we want to start here, I think we definitely want to make sure that we are getting some staff out here. We also want to make sure we can maybe contract a couple of players so that we can start being competitive in some early matches. So I think the first thing we might want to do is we're going to look at the staff that are available to us. Now, you will notice that on the row, I have kind of like a thicker divide between the cards that are on my right and on the left here. So these three cards that are grouped together. Normally, when I take any of the actions to acquire these, I can only take the ones that are here on the right. These ones on the left are really just here so I know they're coming, and they will shift at the end of the round or when I take one of these cards. But some actions do give you the ability to hire or take sponsors or staff out of here. But to the base action, it's just right here. So if I look at the staff I have available to me, so I have Ken Lowry, who's going to increase my fan generation, and if I have another steward, which is his card type, I will get a fan resource. Unfortunately, I do not have a steward. Maria Veloso is a trainer, so she would give me a tactic card. Tactic cards are what let me change my formation on my ad board. She just gives that to me when I acquire her. And then she would also give me an action to train one of my players. That's something Manuela does as well, so maybe not as attractive. I don't know that I really need a tactics card this early. And at the very end, then Jenny Peterson, she gives me an action or bonus to train one of my youngsters immediately. I don't have any. And then she also lets me train a youngster for the same cost. So not a ton I think I want to do right up here. I also have some player options. So I have Kowalczyk. He is going to, if I play him in a sold out stadium, he will get additional strength. When we go to match day, we'll look at what the sellouts are. So that's probably pretty good because I do have some stands here that I want to be able to fill up. Then I have Nelson, who for each trained forward on your team, place one temporary strength on this card. So not bad. And then I have Ribeiro, who is a defender, and he gives me +1 fitness generation, which I'm going to need to both train my players and activate them for match day. He's not great, though, honestly, other than that generation, but that might be enough, as I have 5 money currently. So I think I'm going to... I actually think I'm going to start with a youngster. So the youngsters I've got them up here on the board. So now the youngsters are different than my regular players because the regular players, as you can see from the top row, they have a front face that I can see, so I have some idea about what they're doing. Youngsters are generic. The only thing I know about them is where they're playing. For example, we can see that this player is playable only in my backfield. I already have a backfield scorer over here. He would be a backfield defender. And then I wouldn't know what he does until I train him. However, since in this scenario I do want to train youngsters anyway, and he only costs 1, that his cost being up here in the upper left-hand portion of the card, I think I want to kind of roll the dice on this. So for my first action, I'm going to take this youngster, I'll place him over here on my match board, and that is going to cost me 1 of my money. And then as my bonus action, so I will use this ops resource and I will use it to activate Manuela. Now I can only activate my staff once per turn. Usually what you do, just to make sure that you know you've activated them, is go ahead and turn them sideways and then they'll refresh at the end of the week. And then I'm going to use one of my fitness resources to train this youngster. So I'm going to take him and I'm going to flip him over, and we have revealed Son. So Son is a defender. He is a super sub. So if I have a sold out stadium, he scores. That's pretty great. And youngsters also have these abilities you can see here on the bottom left, to where if they play in a match and they or score, they will score you a victory point. So that's pretty good. Yeah, that's actually very good. So that's going to be okay. So that's going to be the end of my Tuesday and take me into Wednesday. Now, I only have 2 fitness here, and I need to have my fitness to activate my cards, so I don't really want to get any more players at the moment because I won't be able to activate them, but I can always get Ribeiro, who is still up there, and he increases my fitness generation, which would be pretty good. I could also use some money to start upgrading my stadium over here to either increase one of my income tracks, or I could add I have 1 more stands and 1 more ad board I could buy. So I think for my first action, I'm going to upgrade my stadium. So that's going to cost me these 3 money, and I'm going to buy the 4th stands. And the reason I want to do this is because if I can put a fan on every one of these stands during match day, my game is considered to be sold out, which is going to activate the ability of the card I just flipped. So I think that is going to be pretty good for me. Yeah, because that's going to help me by scoring goals, which is going to help me win some matches and hopefully get a little higher on the table. So for my bonus action, I really don't have one to take right now. I'm low on money and need to make sure I still have maintenance at the end of the week. And if I wanted to use Chloe, it would cost me 2 money to upgrade my office, which unfortunately I don't have. So I think I have to ditch the action here. Okay. So that's going to get me into Thursday. So for my action on Thursday, I am kind of eyeing Ken Lowry, both because he is a different kind of staff that I need for my scenario goal, and also because he's increased my fan generation, which will help me sell out the stadium every turn. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do it this first turn, but I think that that's still somewhere I want to be. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take Ken. It's honestly not a great staff card. He doesn't have an extra action for me to take, but he does only cost 1, and he is going to increase my fan generation early in the game, which will be good. Oh, and actually, now that I'm looking at it, I took a fan back earlier, so that's my second mistake. I should have left that over there because I did use that to reroll, so I only have 2 fans here in my pool. So now that the pot's right again, that leaves me with 1 operation, 2 fitness, and 2 fans. And since I don't have a bonus action, that takes me into the weekend. So this gets me to match day. Now match day is definitely the fiddliest part of this game. So we'll go through it in detail really the first time, and then hopefully it'll be easier on the second go through. So the first thing I have to make sure is I've got the right personnel on my board here. So the jersey numbers that we see here have to match up with the players I'm actually putting into the match. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap 4 and 5 here, because with Kaminsky and with Son, I have number 2 and number 5, so they'll both be in the match. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my formation, and I'm going to pick what formation I want my team to be in. For my basic formation card, I can either run a 5-4-1, which means I can have 5 players up front, 4 in the middle, and then just 1 in the back. Or I can run a 4-3-3, which is going to be the configuration I have right now, which is I have 4 up front, 3 in the middle, and then 3 in the back of my formation. And I think that's, well, so first of all, I'm also going to look at my scouting report. So right this week I'm playing the Blackston Kings. So their coach has managed to bring a very focused and fit team to the pitch. Their defense is solid as a rock. So that means they've probably got some pretty good defenders spread out throughout the field. So I'm going to leave my configuration where it is. So this gives, I have 4 strikers up front. So on the soccer ball side of the jersey, I've got 3 defenders in the middle, and a striker and 2 defenders here in the back. And I'm going to leave this side overloaded, my left side, or my left wing, just to try and get a couple of different shots. And I'll show you how that works. So what I did at the beginning of the game as well is, when you put out your your players at the beginning of the game. You start with your lowest players and you make them defensemen all the way up until 5, and then the rest are strikers with the soccer ball side. When you draw a player or flip a youngster, you will flip their jersey number to the side. So even though 2 started as a defender, once I selected Kaminsky as my first player, I flipped that to a soccer ball to indicate he's a striker, and then I flipped another to get to that 5-5 ratio at the beginning. Now, the only other way that I can flip any of these jerseys for the rest of the game is if I get a player that lets me flip them. That's just going to be whatever symbol they have. So that's how I think I'm going to arrange my players. Now I'm going to put out both of my fitness here, and that indicates that both of these players are playing in the game. Now, if I had purchased somebody else, I would not be able to activate them. They would go down here on my bench, and they would just be a regular player. Now I'm going to take the fans that I have, and I'm going to put them over here on the stands. So that represents the folks that have come out to watch my football club. At the end of the match day experience, I'm going to get a goal or money back for each fan that I have in the stands. So now we're ready to play the match, and we're going to flip the card. And so I'm going to pull this up onto the screen so you can more easily see what I'm seeing here. So on the card, you will see the representation of the opposing team and also my own team. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to start comparing the different zones and see if any goals get through. Now, one thing you'll notice is that the opposing team has as a goalie. In this case, the Blackston Kings have a goalie that is 1 strength, and he has 2 goalie gloves or keeper gloves. That means that the keeper is capable of blocking 2 strength 1 shots. And all players are considered to be strength 1 unless there is something different on their card. So the players I have that are higher strength right now are Kaminsky and Son, who are both strength 2. So when I compare the sides, I'm going to make pairs of strikers and defenders. And if the striker number is lower than the defender number in my pairs, that is going to mean that the goal does not get through. So now we're just going to go ahead and go through. So when I'm comparing my zones, I'm going to start with the opposing team's left wing, and I'm going to compare them to my right. So here we see that Blackston has a defender of power 3 and a striker of power 1. On my side, I've got a striker of power 1 and 2 defenders at power 1. That means that my striker is going to be blocked by his defender, and his striker is going to be blocked by my defender. Okay? So no goals are scored in this matchup. Now I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to take his right wing and my left, and I'm going to start comparing. So the first one I have, the highest strength player I have that's offensive is Kaminsky. That is going to, he is going to be blocked by the strength 2 defender that's here. That's the only player. And now I also have another strength 1 striker. So there is no other defender here for him to be blocked by. However, the goalie does have 2 saves at strength 1. So unfortunately, he is not going to score. And I'm going to start looking at the midfield. So the first thing I'm going to compare in this central zone is I'm going to start looking at midfielders. In this case, Blackston has 2 strength 1 strikers and 1 strength 1 defender in the midfield. So I just have a strength 1 defender, meaning that I'm going to block one of his shots with my defender. The other one is going to get through, and my goalie is going to block it. I don't have a goalie card, but I'm always considered to have a strength 1 goalie that can block 1 shot. So there, he is done. I'm going to put this jersey here to remind me that he's blocked a shot. And since I have no shots to take, nothing matches up with his defender. Then I am going to compare my front to my opponent's. So I've got 2 strength 1 strikers. He's got 2 strength 3 defenders, meaning that neither of them score. He's got a strength 1 striker, which is intercepted by my backfield, which is going to be my strength 1 defender. Then finally, he does have a strength 1 striker in his backfield, and I have no one to defend it, so that is going to get through and score a goal. So now that I've compared all of my zones, and yeah, this is definitely the fiddliest bit of this game, is just figuring out match day, but now that we've done it once, hopefully we'll just get a lot quicker with it. So unfortunately, it looks like Newbie FC has fallen to the Blackston Kings by a score of 1-0, which is unfortunate. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to take back my fitness, and it goes back into the bin. If I had any, if I had any other kinds of tokens here that need to be cleared, I would clear them. I'm next going to roll on the match consequences. So these are the things that happened after the match. And I'm really wanting to roll high here because I'm going to roll on the loser column, and 1, 2, and 3 are all bad for me. 4 and 5 are pretty good. Or sorry, 5 and 6 are pretty good. 4 is not great, but... So we got a 3. That means one of my players is going to be injured. So I got to put the injury on one of my participating players. I'm going to put it on Kaminsky because I think I can probably sell out the next one and get the aftermatch ability for Son. So I'm going to go ahead and do it there. Now also, because Son participated in this match, I get to score 1 victory point because of the ability that he has over here. So yeah, unfortunately losses are not the best. So now I'm going to discard Blackston. I'm also going to remove both of the fans I have over here on my stadium, and I'm going to get 2 money that they spent on tickets and concessions. Finally, I'm going to look at the league table, and I'm going to make my adjustments. So unfortunately, my team lost, so we will stay at 0 on the table. Blackston won, so they will score 3 points. Now for the other clubs that we have here, I'm going to roll these dice to determine where they kind of fell in the overall league. So if I roll for the Bulls first, they got a 3, so they won and go up to 3. Middleham drew, so they will go to 1. BFC lost. That's Brixton, so they will stay with me at 0. Dafton United won, so they are going to go up to 3. And then SFC also won, so they are going to go up to 3. Okay, so that's how the table looks after week 1. So we had a lot of teams win, unfortunately. 1 other team lost and 1 drew, meaning that if the game ended right now, I would lose the scenario because I have been relegated. But I've still got 5 weeks to go. I've got a couple of things in my engine that are going, I think, going right for me. So we've got some time to right the ship. So now for end of week, I'm going to refresh all of my cards, and I'm going to pay my maintenance. In this case, I have 2 players. I have 6 stadium upgrades, or 5 stadium upgrades, and I have 3 staff. So that means I owe a total of 4 maintenance fees. Chloe does take that down by 1, but it means I'm 1 delinquent, which means I'm going to have to red card one of my staff, which I'm going to lose access to them for the next couple of weeks. But I'm just going to give it to Ken Lowry because he doesn't actually have an action that I'm really worried about. So I am going to go ahead and put it on him and not worry about it. Now I can keep as much money as I have left over at the end of the round, and but I can only keep 1 of my other resources. So in this case, all I have left is that 1 operational resource, so I'm just going to go ahead and keep that over here in my pool. All right. And that takes us back to Monday. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my income. And one thing I forgot to do during the maintenance phase is in the solo game, I'm going to take the rightmost card from each of these piles, and those are all going to get discarded. So this is the way that it just kind of keeps everything moving a little bit better. Okay. So now that I've taken my income and we've made the pot right for my transfer area, we're going to go into our board meeting. So let's take a look at our scenario. All right, so this scenario is going to be undercover journalist. An undercover journalist has infiltrated our club and plans to expose all our dirty secrets. How could this possibly go wrong? Should we let them publish an article? Oh boy. Okay, so we have nothing happens for our yellow options. Protect our club's privacy, which is going to cost me 2 money and 2 ops resources. Or it can't be that bad. Let's just organize a press conference to tell the people everything they need to know. This is I cannot place fans on stands 1 and 2, which would short circuit my game plan for this particular round. So I think we really don't want red. I mean, we would love yellow here. Blue's not great, but not terrible. So let's go ahead and roll for that. 2, okay, so nothing happens. So we got the yellow option. Anna and Ricardo both voted to not invest in the journalists. We have nothing to hide. Our team is a bunch of good dudes. So that's all good. We like that. It's, it's fun to root for a team that's full of good dudes, right? Like, no problems, no divas, none of that kind of stuff. We like it. Okay, so looking at the board for Tuesday, this is where I probably need to, given my resources, look at some of my options for sponsors. I've got a couple decent options. So if I look at like World's Greenest Grass, I can increase my score marker by 2. And I could start the next match 2 goals up. That's a pretty great benefit. So I could look at maybe like getting some money from that, and then also moving the score marker up by 2. Unfortunately, that's just it's not really a perpetual benefit. It's just going to help me out in the next match, but maybe that's all I need to do to make sure that I'm kind of shooting up the table. Farmer John Cheese is going to let me build a stands for free. I already did that last round, so that one's not going to be as great to do the benefit of. Playfair Toys lets me train 3 youngsters, so that's also not something I want to do. So I think I'm going to not select a kit sponsor this round. I think that's probably not going to be the best. Looking at staff, I have Judy Ledbeck, who she does let me increase my fitness, which is pretty good. I don't have another fitness trainer, and she also gives me an action that gives me 2 additional fitness, and that's pretty darn good because that's going to let me fuel a lot of players and also train a lot of youngsters, which I really think I do want to be focusing on youngsters in this game because it's part of the secondary scenario condition. And she also is a different staff, which helps my scenario objective and my personal objective. So that might be pretty good. She costs 2, but I have it, and I can always use a shout out sponsor. So I may do that. And I think I am. So my first action on Monday is I'm going to take Judy. That's going to cost me 2. And I'm going to put her down here with my staff. So for her bonus, I'm going to increase my fitness generation by 1. Unfortunately, I do not have another fitness trainer, so I don't get that benefit, but now I have her up and ready to go. And then I am going to, as my bonus action, I'm going to gain 2 fitness. So I'm just going to go ahead and use her. That's going to cost me an operational resource and a fitness resource. Oh, sorry, just an operational resource, looking at the wrong thing. And I'm going to get 2 fitness resources that I can use because I think I want to get some more players and try and get them trained. I think that'll be pretty good for me. That moves me into... Oh, and I've got to move up my cards as well. So that puts Charles Simpson in play. He's going to increase my operational resources and then also lets me gain any 2 resource markers, which is good. In addition to their abilities, you will probably also have noticed that my different staff have differently colored markers on the left-hand side of them. Now, my personal objective is to have staff from all 5 sets, which I'm very close to doing, but the victory points at the bottom of the staff are showing me that if I have, for the staff, we're going to score as many points as I have of that set. So if I look at Judy, she's that like dark red color. If I have 1 of her color, I'm going to score 2. If I have 2, I'll score 3. If I have 3, I'll score 5. So it's just another way for me to kind of score points and make sure that I'm continuing to advance my my plan. So yeah, Charles could be pretty good, and he gives me a he has synergy with Chloe as well, so that could be good. I am short on money though, which I want to make sure I'm keeping up on. And I did hire another staff as well, so I have 4. It's going to move up my staff resource marker. And I think I want youngsters, so actually this is going to be tight. So I think I'm going to hire another youngster. Yeah, I think I'm going to hire and train another youngster because I do need to start trying to get up the match table a little bit since I had such a pretty mediocre week 1. So I'm going to spend 1 money resource. I'm going to grab a youngster, and this youngster goes in the midfield and is a defender. And then I'm going to spend an operations and a fitness, and I'm going to let Manuela train him. So I flip, and this is DaCosta. He is a fan favorite. Oh, and he gives me an additional fan generation. That is excellent, so I will move him up. In addition to being a 2-strength defender. So he is number 9, so that's going to flip this jersey. And I will put number 9 down here to signify DaCosta. He also, when he participates in a match, I will score victory points, so another way for me to get some points. So that was a pretty good Wednesday. And then Thursday, I am out of money, so unfortunately I can't hire anyone, but I can take a sponsor. And I think I'm going to take the world's greenest grass. But I have to decide if I want the cash or if I want the score marker. Or if I want this to be my kit sponsor. I think I'm going to do it because I do need to get moving here on winning a few matches because I'm at the bottom of the table. So I'm going to make this my kit sponsor. That's going to give me 2, so I get the benefits on the right side. So that's going to be 2 money, 1 money generation, and then I increase my score marker by 2. So hopefully that's going to be enough to kind of power me through this match so that I can start generating some wins. And then I'm going to place my my jersey right over here. So that signifies that I've taken up my my kit sponsor spot. And then I'm going to move all my sponsors down. I really would love to make that Playfair Toys youngster training viable, but I just think it's going to be off the board by the time I even have a chance to do it. So then, just so I'm using my resources, I'm going to use Chloe, and I'm going to build an office. So that's going to move my office marker here. I get to do that for 1 less, so it's going to cost me 2 money and 1 operations. Just again, trying to use my resources as effectively as I can. All right, so that's going to leave me with 2 operations, 4 fans, and 3 fitness going into match day. And I think that's good. So I have players, stadium, staff. All right. So that'll take us into the weekend. That takes us into match day. So now we have the Brickton Football Club. We're going to start 2 goals up because of our kit sponsorship. Hopefully that works out for me. So this team has been playing unsuccessfully in the league for 3 years. This year won't be any different. Watch out for their right wing. They'll probably focus on blocking more than attempting to score. And so I think I want to stay in my same formation that I've got here at the moment. So it looks like I want to be careful about their right wing. So I'm going to move. I'm gonna send DaCosta over here since he is a strength 2 defender. Yeah, so I'll do that. So kind of try and mitigate, like maybe if their right wing is 2 or less, then I'll be able to block that shot. So unfortunately, Kaminsky injured this week. I will not be able to yeah, I will not be able to utilize him in this match, but I do still have Son and DaCosta. Unfortunately, two defensive players, although Son with his offensive ability that I'll be able to fire off this week. So I will go ahead and put my fans in the stands now that I am fully up here in my build. So that is going to be good. That is going to give me my my sold out stadium powers. And yeah, let's go ahead and go into it. So we'll stay in the 4-3-3 to oppose their 4-3-3. And I'll go ahead and flip. So I'll bring that up again so you all can see. So Brickton Football Club, this might actually be okay for us. All right, so if I look at comparing their left wing to my right wing, they have just 3 defenders, 1, 2, and 2, so no shots on me. I have a 1 strength attacker that is not going to get through their defense. And on the flip side, they have 2 1 strength attackers on their right side. Comparing that to my left, I'm going to block one of them with DaCosta, who it looks like now that I flipped this over, it was not a great choice for me, but you know, it happens. So he will block one of their shots, and my goalie will block the other one. So I'll go ahead and put that down there so I know he's been exhausted. And I have 2 shots here, one with jersey number 2 that is going to be a 1, and 11 is going to be a 1. So one of those is going to be blocked by their front fielder, and then the other is going to bounce off of their goalie, but their goalie only has 1 save, so maybe I can get something through. I do have 1 more. So I have in the midfield, I have a 1 strength defender against their 2 strength attacker. Unfortunately, my goalie's been exhausted, so they're going to score there. Comparing their front to my, their front to my back, they've got a 3 strength attacker. I only have a 1 strength defender, so they're going to score again. And then in their back, they've got a 1 strength attacker, 2 strength defender. So my shot is going to be blocked, their shot is going to be blocked. So at the moment, we are at parity. We're at 2-2, so we're tied. But when we go into the after match, that is when Son's power is going to fire up. I do have a sold out stadium, so he is going to score. So that's going to bounce me up to 3-2, which is going to give me the win this week. So that sponsor action really ended up turning out for me, turning a draw into a win and giving me some much needed points to get up the table. No other after-match powers here that I need to look at, so we're good. So now I am going to make my match consequence roll. So I won this time, so this is pretty good. So I have some potential to get some really good stuff here. If I roll well, I rolled a 4. That's going to be a temporary strength. So I'm going to put the temporary strength on Kaminsky because he's going to be able to come off the injured list this next week. And since he's a goal scorer, this is going to give me a little bit better opportunity to get a couple goals across. So definitely want to do that. And I'm going to take away his injury since he's no longer going to be injured this week. So then I'm going to collect all of my fans here from the stands, and that is going to generate me 4 money. Excellent, that's what we want. And then, I forgot to put in my my points here. So Son with his goal scoring ability is going to score another point since he scored a goal. And DaCosta will score a victory point because he participated in this last match. Okay, now we're going to look at the league table. So me, I am going to move up 3 spaces, but I'm just going to move myself aside because I'm going to move all these guys. So now we'll go, and then that was Brickton, so they are going to stay at 0 at the bottom of the table. So we're going to roll for our other clubs now. So for SFC, they lost, so they are not going to move up. Dafton won, so they are going to move up to 6 points. The Bulls are going to win, so they will move up to 6 points. The Blackston Kings, who are our opponents last week, They lost, so they will stay where they are. Middleham Football Club won, so they are going to move to 4. And then I'm going to move my marker up to 3, since now that everybody has moved. Okay, so, and then SFC was also a loser, so they're going to stay there. Okay, so we are climbing a little bit from the bottom of the table. We've got a couple of clubs that have jumped out in front, but we can now use some of the breathing room that we have with a few players. Hopefully we can win our last easier match against Middleham and really start shooting up the table. Okay, so I am going to get, the red card is going to leave for Ken Lowry, and then I will refresh all of my staff. And then, oh, I used 2 of these fitness, so they'll go away. All right, and now I'm going to go over to my maintenance cost. I have 3 players now, as well as 6 stadium upgrades and 4 staff. So that is going to be a total of 5 total maintenance that I have to pay. Chloe is going to knock that down by 1, so I will take the money that I won from the match, and that is going to pay my maintenance costs. So I really have to be careful next turn that I am getting out ahead of my maintenance costs, so I don't have to red card any of my staff that I need. I have left over at the end, I have 2 operational resources and 1 fitness, so I have to dump 1 of the operational resources, so I'm just keeping 1 of each. And then I am going to, so we'll move Comiskey back up here because we could potentially use him in the next match. And that will take us back to Monday. All right, so after a quick battery sub out, we're right back into our game, and we've got to take before we start the next round, we've got to take all of our cards out from the edge. They're going to get discarded and moved down. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So we looked at Kowalczyk in the last couple of rounds as being a potential difference maker for us scoring. So if we want to take him, it's going to have to be this round, since we're going to lose access to him at the end of this coming round. So we'll see how that goes. Get another couple of sponsors, another staff. Okay, and now we're back into Monday. I'm going to take my income. So we've got our resources, and now we're going to go directly into our board meeting. So our next card up, Fan Club on Tour. The club does not have a lot of support during away games. Do we want to organize free buses to away games? So we've got our yellow option, no, but we will for the match against our rivals. The blue, no, we could do that from time to time, or yes, every fan should be able to watch the match. So that would be great. I mean, honestly, the red option is going to cost us a money production and 2 money, but starting every match with a 1 goal advantage is going to be pretty huge. So, I mean, that would be pretty good, I think. I think blue is not great for us in this round, but let's see. So 4, yeah, that's going to be blue, which is going to make me discard fans and money, which I really would prefer not to do this game. I have an extra fan. I'm going to go ahead and re-roll it because 3 or 4 is going to be blue. Any other option is going to be okay. All right. 2. Okay, so I'm going to lose 1 money and 1 fan. So that's a bummer because it's going to let me not sell out. But I do get to move my score marker 1 space. So I'm going to start with a 1 goal advantage. Not terrible, but it's gonna that might hurt us a little. So we've got to really see what we can do here. Okay, so in our first round, we are going to. I think we need some money. Honestly, we need to really start getting some staff and some players so that we can continue pressing the advantage in taking our bonus actions. We probably want to build up our stadium a little bit more so that we can get a couple more advantages. So yeah, I think we definitely want to take the sponsor action for our first action. And since we lost some money, I think that we would like to take an ad board sponsor. So Farmer John Cheese, I think, is going to be our pick. because that's going to give us both production and money. Also, because its special ability is drawing a stance for free, that's not relevant to us anymore, so we're going to go ahead and add that to our board. Right there. Fix the stadium a little bit because we keep bumping it. So that's going to up our money production by 1, and then I'm going to take 3 money, 3 pounds, however we want to think about it. And then for my bonus action, I'm going to use Judy's ability. So we're going to use an operations, and that's going to net us 2 fitness, which I think we're going to want to use to get all of our players on the board, and to maybe we want to grab a couple of players, a couple of youngsters. So that was our Tuesday actions. So going into Wednesday, like I mentioned, I think we definitely want to get... Oh, let's move everything down first. Like I mentioned, I think we really want Kowalczyk here. He's going to be a backfielder, which we're already pretty stuffed in the backfield, but his ability, I think, could be really, really huge for us, especially since we have 4 games left, so we could really get something going with his ability to get additional power. He does cost 3... which is going to be pretty hefty. So we might save him. And actually, here's what we'll do instead, and I'll tell you why. So we want to be able to we always want to make sure we're using our actions as efficiently as possible. And I think instead I might want to get a youngster, because I do, the youngster that's on the top of the deck is a forward. So we might want that. So that's going to cost us 1 money. I'm going to grab that youngster and put him up front. And then we are going to use Manuela's ability as our bonus action. So using our operations resource and one of our fitness resources, we're going to train that. We're going to train that youngster. Now, because I have 3 or more trained players now, she is going to score me a point. So I'm going to go ahead and put that victory point right there, and we're going to flip this youngster. So this is Backer. So he also has a scoring and a playing ability. He is number 11, which is already a striker for us. He's 2 power, which is pretty good. When I sell him, I can draw and hire the top player card for free instead of gaining money. So that could be pretty good, depending on where our top player card is. And if I just kind of look down here, the top player card is these 3 goals. Not great at the moment, but at least he is a 2 power striker. That's going to help us out. So after those 2 actions, that's going to take us into Thursday. And unfortunately, we do not have any sold. We don't have enough fans to sell out, and I don't know that we have a way to get fans at the moment. No, I know what we have to do. Like, we're going to take Kowalczyk. We already talked about that. So it's going to cost us 3 money. And we will go ahead and just take him, because otherwise we're going to lose him. He is going to be our backfielder. So he is number 4. We have number 4 up here. So we're going to move 3 here. 4 is going to flip to the striker side. So we're leaving ourselves a little open, honestly, since we now have a lot of strikers on the board, but not a lot of defense. But I'm hoping that our advantage with goal scoring is really going to help us. And then for our bonus action, I'm going to lose an action here, honestly, because I went with Kowalczyk there. I think that was probably good enough. We don't want to don't have enough money to build an office with Chloe, and even if we did, we wouldn't want to do that because we're going to take some maintenance penalties. So unfortunately, we're just going to have to eat that particular action. Let me move my players over. And Romano, that might be okay if I do decide to sell. We are going to move into match day now. And let's look at our scouting report on Middleham. So team has a decent midfield but lacks good defenders, which is great news for us because we've got so many good strikers. We need to take advantage of this weakness. Watch out for the attacking central midfielder. Okay, so what I'm going to do because of that is I'm going to stay in the 4-3-3, I think. But I'm going to move my best midfield defender into the middle, my best midfield defender. I'm going to move him to the center because they've got that central midfielder that's a good attacker. So if he's a 2 or under, that's going to end up being a good decision. If he's 3 or above, at least I tried. All right, I have 3 fans left. I'm going to put them into the stadium. Unfortunately, that's not going to trigger a sellout for my sellout power. Yeah, that was kind of a rough board meeting for us. Maybe we just didn't want to re-roll and risk it, but it's done. Okay, so now we're going to flip. We do not have any before match powers, so we're going to flip. Oh, we also have to assign our fitness. So everybody's playing this game. We still have a leftover fitness, which is good to carry over in the next round. Okay, so Middleham local, I do see some numbers here, and let's see how that's going to play out. So like I said, no pre-match abilities. I'm going to move straight into the match itself. So put it up on the screen so you guys can see. We're going to have a 1-to-1, or one defense, 1 striker here against my right wing. So I do have a 1 strength striker, so that's going to get blocked. And I have 2 1-strength defenders, so it is going to get blocked here as well. So we're good. His left wing, he has got 1 1-strength striker, which is going to get blocked by my 1-strength defender. I have 2 strikers here, so I've got Kaminsky, who's currently a 3, and Backer, who's currently a 2. So that's going to get past their 1-strength defender, and they only have a 1-strength goalie. So I'm going to score 2 goals there, getting me to 3. So that definitely worked out in our favor there, but let's see how the rest of the match is going to go. So looking at the midfield, we've got a 3 defender and a 3 attacker. I just have a 2 defender here. So his shot is going to score because my goalie only has 1 defense, and I did not have a shot to take. So that's just kind of the way that is. Looking at my front field, my front center versus his front center, I've got a 1-strength attacker. He's got 2 1-strength defenders. So my shot's going to bounce there. And down here, he's got a strength 2 striker and a strength 1 striker. One of those is going to get through, one of those is going to get defended. So the Middleham is going to end up with a total of 2 goals to my 3. So even though that board of directors meeting wasn't the best for me, starting off with that advantage gives me the win, which is pretty good. I'll absolutely take it and try and keep climbing the table. Looking at my aftermatch, so first of all, my aftermatch abilities, 2 of them are based on sellouts. Unfortunately, I was not able to sell out, so that is not going to, none of those are going to fire off. So I have scored more goals here. So the 3-2, it's going to be a 3-2 win for Newbie FC. So that's excellent. I'm going to discard my fan markers and take the money. Discarding 3 fans, getting 3 money, getting me to 5. Then I am going to do my match consequence roll. So I won. So I'm rolling on this column here, looking hopefully pretty good. If we roll high. So we roll a 6, and which is great because that gives me 1 fan production. Now, since I cannot move my fan production here beyond 5, that means I'm going to get a money, which I will gladly take because that'll carry over into the next round. So pretty good that we got one of the better match consequences. And then we're going to go look at our table. So us, Newbie FC, we are going to move up to 6, and I'm going to put the other 2 under me because we're going to need to move them, and we're going to look at how the rest of the table's going. So first we'll look at Dafton. Dafton tied, so they go to 7. Or sorry, that is it's small. The Graham Bulls, they tied. Now it's Dafton. Dafton United lost, so they are going to stay here. That's very good for us. Middleham is just who we just played. They lost. They will stay right here. The Blackston Kings tied, so they are going to move up to 4. SFC tied. They will move up 1. And BFC lost, so they are at the bottom of the table still. So that's a really good week for us. We managed to get a win, get a little higher up the table, and now we're tied for second place. We've got 4 clubs behind us, so now we're not as much in danger of relegation. I think we've got a pretty good setup over here as well as I clean up my clean up all my fitness that I use. So I think we're in pretty good shape here. So we'll see how we go. One thing I forgot to do is I forgot to take my points here. So Backer played in the match. So he's got that little like almost hourglass looking symbol for 1 point. And then he scored a goal in this match. So he is going to have a total of 2 victory points on his player. And then we're going to go to maintenance. So let me make sure the pot's right here. I currently have 5 players. I still have 6 stadium and 4 staff. So that is going to be a total of 5 total maintenance. Chloe is going to knock that down to 4. So I'm going to spend 4 for my maintenance. And then I get to hold on to my 2 money. I do have to ditch an operations resource because I didn't use it, but that's totally fine. So refresh all my staff, discard Middleham, and we'll take away all these cards here at the end and redraw. All right, so we've refreshed our training area, decided on all our keeps here. Now we're going to go back into Monday. Now this week is going to start the harder half of my schedule. So the second half of the game, the second 3-week period, I'm going to play higher division opponents. So these are going to be a little bit harder, which is why I really wanted to in the last 2 games try and get out into like a little bit of a lead, good spot on the table, so that I could weather these last 3 and make sure that I'm not getting relegated. So like I said, I think we're in a pretty decent spot. We unfortunately can't really improve on some of our players a lot because we don't have access to those higher level players because we're not a prestigious team in this scenario. So we'll keep an eye on if like we've got teams that have powers, or sorry, players that have powers that might benefit us. But overall, we're not looking at really like quantum leap upgrades over here. And we might look for another tactics card as well because we just only have the ability right now to go in the 4-3-3 and the 5-4-1. So let's get our resources for the round, and then we'll go into our board meeting. I think that was extra money that I winged up there for some reason. So let's actually, before we talk about what we need this week, let's look at the board meeting because that could really change our plans. So our board meeting, our scenario this week is criticism. During a post-match interview on national television, one of your players criticized your coaching technique. It doesn't really make sense because we won, but hey, you know, some of them are youngsters, it happens. It isn't the first time this has happened. What should we do? So we can find the unappreciative player, that'll teach them. So that's going to make us place weakness on the player with our highest strength, which isn't terrible because we just got a lot of 2s, so it's kind of spread out. We can only play 1 tactic card this week, which we only have 1, that's fine. Or we could ignore the player and place 2 red cards on any of our trainers. Well, that would not be great. So yeah, let's see what the board decides. 4. So if we look there, it's going to be the blue option. I can only play 1 tactic card, place a marker. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to place a marker. One of these little exclamation point markers to remind me that I can only play 1 tactics card. So that's not bad. So what we want to do this week. So I was thinking about getting a tactics card because we can potentially get one from staff, but we can only use 1 of them now. So that's something for us to consider. We probably want a few more staff because we did have to dump an action, and maybe another youngster too, because we do want to make sure that we are fulfilling the bonus conditions on our scenario at this point, and we want to have at least 4 youngsters. So that's probably something we want to do, and at least get them trained so that if we want to use them, we could potentially use them in the upcoming match. So I think the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to look at staff. And what I'm going to do is I'm looking at Kim Johnson right now, and she does 2 things for me. So first, she completes my objective for my personal objective, which is have staff from all 5 sets. Because she's that scout, she's like that green or purple from this angle that I still don't have yet. Plus, she lets me hire a player, so I kind of get to double up on an action So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to take Kim. She's going to cost 1. So I am going to do that. And then I'm going to use her. So I'm going to use her. I'm going to spend one of my ops resources. And I'm going to hire a player from the transfer area. So I have 2 potential goalies here that I'm kind of looking at. And so Schmidt is, he is blocking 2 at 1, and Teixeira is blocking 3 at 1. And if I flip either of them, I'm probably going to get something a little bit better, but I don't know what that is because I haven't looked, because, you know, I kind of like it to be a surprise. So I'm going to try Teixeira. He's going to cost me 3. So I'm hoping the fact that he costs more, and I'm going to put him right here, even though the goalies don't really have a real spot. He costs a little more. I'm hoping that maybe his flip is going to be good. And I forgot to clear that, so we got to clear that. I'm hoping that his flip is maybe something useful, maybe gets me up into the 2 to 3 range with a couple of saves, so I can have a little bit better goal reception or goal prevention. So hopefully that's going to work out for us. And then we'll move our cards down. So out of players up here for us to draw. All right, now that was our Tuesday. We're going to go into Wednesday. And I'm feeling pretty good about where we are resource-wise. I think I'm going to hire another youngster. I really like the idea of getting some additional points with youngsters. And it is an attacker, though, so it's a striker. So I just could go like really all in on goal scoring and just defense kind of, you know, be whatever. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for my main action. I'm going to take this youngster. And I'm going to put him in the midfield. Then for my bonus, I'm going to use Manuela, using an ops resource and a fitness to train that youngster. And he's going to flip. This is Evans. Evans, oh wow, he's a 3-power striker. And he's a fan favorite. So if I sell him, I'm going to get -1 fan production. But honestly, at 3 power, I don't want to sell him. So I'm going to take the number 8 jersey to match him. And I'll move 7 up here, which is good. I didn't actually sacrifice any defense to get Evans, so that works for me. Yeah, so that is going to be the trainer. So then going into Thursday, I've got to think about what I want to do here. So I'm going to look at my scouting report early. So Steelchester FC is an average team, probably will avoid relegation and won't get promoted. Focus on pressing and counterattacks, but their forwards rarely start individual actions. So that's probably meaning they're more defensive in the forwards. They play the 3-5-2. So that means that they're going to have a lot of players in the midfield, fewer players in the back, which I think is fine. I think that my 4-3-3 is going to match up pretty well there. So we'll keep that in mind. So looking at what our Thursday actions could be then, I'm looking at staff. I have Charles Simpson lets me increase my operations production by 1. So far that hasn't really been an issue. And Azita is good. She's a tactical analyst. She's going to let me gain a tactic card and then gain another tactic card on my turn. So I haven't really been using my ops resources really aggressively. So that might be what I want to do. And then I'm looking over at my stadium too, just in case I want to do something there. And I could build an ad board I don't have enough money to build an ad board right now, but I could do that on a subsequent turn if I wanted to use any of the kind of spicy powers we've got here on the sponsors, but not yet. I think we can wait another turn before we've got to do that. And she costs 2, so unfortunately I don't have enough money. So I think the best thing for me to do here is I'm going to take a shout-out sponsor. I'm going to take a shout-out sponsor. I'm going to take basic bratwurst. So I'm going to use the leftmost benefit here, which is the bullhorn benefit, and that is going to let me get 5 gold. Now, seeing as how I can keep as much gold as I have going round to round. That's going to be okay that I'm carrying quite a bit of money. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use Judy so that I can get a couple of extra fitness, which is going to let me use more of my players in the match. Yeah, that's going to take me into match day. And let me update my sponsors. Yeah, let's get them ready. There we are. Okay, so we looked at the card. We see they play the 3-5-2. Their forwards rarely start individual actions. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave my 2 goal scorers here in the back if their forwards aren't doing much for us. So yeah, that's what we're gonna try that. Okay, so I'm gonna lay out my fitness, making sure I can play everybody. So I gotta pick if I want to use my goalie this turn or this game, I've got to put a fitness on him. I can't quite. Since he is only 1 power right now, I'm gonna just opt for more offense, and maybe in this coming round, if I can flip him, I will prioritize getting fitness on him, since hopefully he will be able to deflect stronger goals. I'm going to take my fans and get them over here in the stands. So I'm selling out this game. That's going to let me use my sellout powers. So this could potentially get pretty good. This could be a pretty good game if I can take advantage of all the goal scorers that I have. Oh, great. Okay, so let's go ahead and flip the card for Steel Chester FC. All right, so looking at what Steel Chester has here, we've got, it looks like their forwards aren't doing anything. So we were okay there, I think. So yeah, it looks like we might be okay here. So if I look at their left to my right, I've got a 1 strength striker, 1 strength defender. Looking over at my side, I've got 2 1 strength defenders and 1 3 strength striker. So I will block their shot. My shot gets past their defender and past their goalie, so I am going to score on this side, which is great. Looking at their right versus my left, so they've got a 3 striker and a 1 defender. So the 3 striker, the best defender I have over here is only 1 power, so that's going to get past my generic goalie because Teixeira's not playing in this game, so they are going to score on the right, on their right flank. But if I look at my left wing here, comparing it to them, I've got Backer, who is a 2 power scorer, so that's going to get past their defender, but their goalie is a 2 power goalie, so he's going to block Backer's shot. Now he only has 1 glove on his card, which means he can only block 1 shot. So if I look down here at 2 is Comiskey. That's going to beat the defender on the right side. So Comiskey is going to score. Looking midfield to midfield, this is where we got a little trouble. So I have a 2 strength defender here. That's going to block 1 of their shots. But the other 2 is going to get by, and they're going to score on me. So it's going to come down to these last couple of exchanges here. So looking at their front versus mine, so they've got a 3 defender. I have a 1 attacker, so that shot is not going to get past them. And looking at my front versus their back, they've got 1 3 defender, and I've got 1 power attacker. So unfortunately, that is going to bounce off. However, going into aftermatch powers, that's where Son is great, because if I have a sold-out stadium, which I do, he is going to score a goal, and that should give me the win at 3-2 again. Looking at my other aftermatch powers, I can flip this player card to flip any other player. I don't want to do that. I think he's fine where he is. If I played with a sold-out stadium, I add a permanent strength, which I will happily do. And those are going to be my aftermatch powers, so that's excellent. And then I'm going to discard from the stands again. So had a full house this time, which is great. That actually got us the win. So anytime you ever hear teams talking about the the 11th man, or in the case of soccer, the 12th man, because we can't forget the keeper. That absolutely prevailed for us this game, and we scored the winning goal based on that after-match power. So that was pretty great. Now moving on to our match consequence, we won again, so we're going to roll our die. And unfortunately, that's going to be 2 injuries. I have this extra fan, so I'm going to re-roll that because that's pretty bad. That's even worse. So that's going to be injuries on 2 different players. And I actually messed up my last injury. I took a quick look at that. So what's going to happen is I am going to roll the injury die, and that is going to impact where my my injury markers go out. So if it's not a number I'm using, that would be good for me. So let's see what we got. So the first one is number 11. Unfortunately, that's Backer. So he is going to be injured. And then for my second, it's going to be number 2, who is Kamitsky. That's not as bad for us. But they've got 2 of these injury markers, which means I have to be able to remove them. I'll lose access to these players otherwise. So we got to make a decision in the next round, depending on what the board gives us, whether or not we want to replace these players or we want to see if we can get a staff out that can help us remove some of those injuries, or maybe even a board meeting that'll help us do it. All right, so we're going to discard Steel Chaser, and we're going to move ourselves up on the table to 9. So great result for us. Going down to the rest of the board. So now we're going to go back to the Bulls. They lost, which is great, so they're going to stay there. Dafton United won, so they're going to go from 6 to 9. They're going to remain tied with us. SFC, who's going to be, who was our opponent this week, are going to stay where they are because they lost. The Kings, they are going to win, so they will go from 4 to 7, staying right there. And then Middleham, they're going to lose as well, so they'll stay down here. And BFC loses again, so they're going to stay at the absolute bottom of the table. They are almost most certainly getting relegated. I feel bad for them. But hey, all's fair in football, right? So I'm going to refresh all of my staff. I'm going to look at my maintenance costs. I have, I'm up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 7 players. That's going to put me in the red. I have 6 stadium, and then I have 5 staff. So that's going to be 3, 5, 7 that I have to pay. Chloe makes it 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There we are. So I'm still going to have 4 money left, so that was a pretty good turn for us. Going to refresh, and then that'll take us back into our board meeting for week 5. Okay, now going into week 5, we've definitely got some issues here. On one hand, we're in a good spot because with our spot on the table relative to everybody else, we're going to win. It seems like we're going to be able to win this scenario because we're currently tied for first in the league. We've got a lot of teams behind us, and poor BFC just has not won a game yet. So I think we're going to avoid relegation, but we do have a couple of injured players, and we still do want to try to continue scoring points so that we can kind of get higher up on the overall coaching rankings. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take my income because we know we're going to do that anyway. That's going to help set us up for the next turn. And we had to spend quite a lot of our money last turn for all of our upkeep, so that's something we're going to need to keep an eye on as we continue to add in the space. So I think what we want to do is we're probably going to have to look for an answer to the injuries or get some additional players to replace our injured players. So we're going to look at our board meeting first and see kind of how that's going to shake out for us, and that'll kind of inform us as to what we want to do this turn. So this week is going to be a new stadium name. One of our sponsors wants to rename the stadium after themselves. Perfectly reasonable. We've got what? World's greatest, greenest grass, posh cars, and Farmer John Cheese. Personally, I am rooting for Farmer John Cheese. Farmer John Cheese Field. So yes, let's change it. That's going to give me money production, negative fan production, which is not great, and negative operations production, and I have to discard a sponsor. Okay. Option 2, no, but we could add a new sponsor to the back of the shirt. So that's going to be +1 money production, -1 fan production, and discard a sponsor card from the transfer area. That would be better. And then, no, we'll never sell our stadium. Let's keep it unchanged. I don't know. I think Farmer John Cheese Stadium sounds pretty good. So let's keep an open mind here. So if that one is it, I cannot build any stadium infrastructure this week. So I think the blue option is kind of what we're rooting for. Although I might want to save some of my fans after the debacle from the reroll last week. So let's see. Let's see what we got. Option 6, I cannot build any stadium infrastructure this week. This is the next to last week. And not being able to build stadium infrastructure is going to cost me points for sure. But I think I have to live with it, because if I do roll a 1 or a 2, that's going to put us in a pretty bad position. So I think I'm just going to have to live with that. Yeah. I have to live with that. I will never, ever rename my stadium to Farmer John Cheese Stadium. You heard it here first, folks. Don't sell out. All right. So now that all that's done, we're going to move on to Tuesday. And I think we need to fish for an answer here. Now, since I'm in the solo game, once per week, I can clear one of the tracks in the transfer area and repopulate it. And I think that's what I'm going to do, because the staff that are here, none of them are great. And I'm almost certain that there is staff in the game that will let me clear injuries. So I'm going to see if I can hunt for one. We're going to discard all of these guys, and then I'm going to give myself 5 new staff. Look at that. All right, so I'm just looking at Jin Lee here. So he's a doctor. So as a bonus, so when I take him, I get to remove an injury from any of my players, and then as an action, I get to remove an injury marker from one of my players. So I think that's what we want to do. He costs 1. That seems like kind of a no-brainer. It is going to up our staff costs, so we do have to be careful about that. So I don't have enough cards to form to continue populating, so I'm going to reshuffle the discarded cards to create a new pile that I can take out of. Okay, so I'm going to get a quick shuffle. Put our remaining staff back up and populate her. And then my players, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'll move down Brown and put Eckenfels in there. Okay. So we're all set. So we've got Jin Lee, our doctor, now. So as a bonus, I can take from one of my injured players, which I absolutely want to do. I think that it is Backer. Yeah, I definitely want to take one from him. And then as my bonus action, I'm going to spend 2 of my operations to activate Jin Lee and then pay the cost to take another one off, and I'm going to take that off of Backer, which is going to get him off of the, going to take away his last injury token and get him off the injured list, which is pretty good for us. Okay, so now we are going to go into Wednesday. Now, I don't need a lot of money this turn because I can't upgrade my stadium, which is a way that I could get some points. I do have some options on staff. So I have Robert Mitch there. He's a steward. And I have another steward in my staff collection here already. That he's going to increase my fan production by 1, which will give me a money. If I have another steward, I'll get an additional money. And since he's part of a set, he will help me score some additional points as well, so that would be pretty good. Kafela Hunt, unfortunately, build any stadium infrastructure for free. I can't this round. That would have been great. Yeah, but unfortunately, I'm just not going to be able to reap that benefit. So that's not as good. So I've got plenty of money, plenty of fans. I've got a lot of fitness. So I think what I want to do is I want to take Robert. So that's going to cost me 1 money, and I'll take him. Now, since he's my second steward, so I would increase my production by 1, but since I'm at max, I'll instead just take 1 money. And I do have another steward, so I get to take a fan, which is great because if I have another pretty bad end of match roll, I can just go. I have a couple extra fans to re-roll it and still being able to sell out my stadium. So I think that's a pretty good net for us. And then I'm going to move down here. Okay, and we've got some more options. So for Wednesday, I definitely think I want to train my goalie because I think that's going to help us in the upcoming matches. But before we do that, I'm actually going to use one of my staff actions as a main action. Yeah, so I'm going to use Manuela. That's going to take up another one of my operational resources and a fitness resource. And that is going to let me train Teixeira, who, okay, so instead of saving 3 goals at strength 1, he now saves 3 goals at strength 2, which I think is going to be pretty useful for these last 2 opponents. So that's good. And then I also have my bonus action, and I think I need to use Judy here with my last operational resource. Because I definitely need the extra fitness so I can activate everyone. So I'm going to spend that, and I'm going to take 2 fitness. That's going to let me get everyone I need into the next match. Okay, excellent. That's going to take me into Thursday. So going into Thursday, I've got plenty of money. I can't spend on the stadium. I could get another staff to try and do to collect another set. I think I'm pretty actually good on sets. I could hire another youngster just to kind of see if I get something that's pretty useful. Unfortunately, I just can't do anything to my stadium this turn, which sucks because that would be pretty good points generation for me. So actually, let's look at our sponsors because there are some. I do have a shell, but I don't have another ad board, so I couldn't use any of their powers. Not great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take something. Got to do something. I have enough youngsters. I'm gonna take a youngster. Because I might get something that's pretty good for me in the last turn. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot for me to do this turn. Whoops, I can't look. So that's going to be another backfield youngster, so I don't really have to mess around with Kaminsky. And I have no operating resources left, so I'm not going to be able to activate any additional staff. And that's going to take me into match weekend. Okay. So let's reset to 0. The 4-3-3 has been pretty good for me, honestly, so I think I'm going to stick with it. Now the decision is really just who I want to activate. I have 5 fitness, and I have 7 eligible players, so I can only take these 5. I think I'm going to activate Teixeira because he is... Yeah, I think I'm going to activate Teixeira because he is just going to hopefully block some goals for me. I'm going to activate Backer, Evans, because he's my strongest goal scorer. Son because he gives me a free goal from the sold out power, and then also Kowalczyk because he is also a very strong goal scorer right now, and he's going to get an additional power since I'm going to get the sold out bonus. So I think that's where we're going to put these guys, and then that leaves so Kaminsky is going to stay on the bench injured, and our new youngster who we have not seen yet is going to stay on the bench, and also DaCosta is going to be on the bench in this turn, which is a bummer because he's our best defender. But I think we might have enough goal scoring here to let us get past Greytown. Okay, so looking at the Greytown Bulls, this team usually balances themselves between second and third division. They have two talented and competitive midfielders who intend to score. So. Oh man, I'm probably just going to end up, and hopefully at least one of them is 2 power because my goalie can block one of them. But if they're both 3 power, I'm just going to I'm going to be down 2 goals here, which is not great. But it just kind of is. I made the choices I made. What are you going to do? Okay, so I have all my fitness and my before match powers taken care of. So let's just go right into the match. So I'll flip over Greytown. Maybe the Brits call it Greyton. I don't know. Okay. So looking at the comparison, it doesn't look terrible. So going first, starting at their left wing, my right wing. So they've just got 3 defenders on the left, so they're not going to even take any shots on goal. I've got 1 attacker on the right. He is a power 3. Their highest defender is 2, and their goalie is only a 2. So Evans is going to score. So great. All right, great start for us. Looking at their right against my left, so they've got a 2 power attacker. I have no defenders on my left, so since this is 2 power, Teixeira is going to get his first block. So it's a good thing we flipped him. But then I've got a 2 strength attacker, a 1 strength attacker, and a 1 strength attacker. So one of the 1 strength attackers is going to get blocked by their 1 strength defender on the right. My 2 strength attacker is going to get blocked by their goalie. That's his only block. And then I have a 1 more 1 power attacker who is going to score because there's no more defense over there. So great for us. Looking in the middle of the midfield, so I have a 1 power defender against their 1 power attacker, so that goal is going to get blocked. Their forward versus my defender, so that 4 strength, nothing to do about that. He's scoring all day long. That's the highest we've seen so far. That's why they bounce between the upper divisions. And so my 4 is he's currently a 3 power because of his 2 tokens. So he's going to score as well. So that's 3 goals. Feeling really good about this. And then looking at my front versus their back, they've got another 3 power striker here. I only have a 1 power defender, so they're going to score there. And then I have a 1 strength striker who's going to be deflected by the defender. So the game is currently standing at 3-2. But since we are, you know what we forgot to do? We forgot to put our stadium out. Let's do that. There we go. So now that we've assured ourselves of the sellout, so our powers are going to fire off. So Son is just going to score as a defenseman. So awesome. That's going to give us another goal differential, which doesn't matter, but still fun. Putting us up to 4 goals to 2. And then Kowalczyk's after match power is going to fire off. He's going to get another token. So he is like easily our strongest offensive player right now, which is excellent. And yeah, that's the end of that one. So the Newbie FC gets another win. We're really rolling now. And then Greytown's going to take the loss at 4-2. So I'm going to pick up my goalie markers here because I just use those to mark the blocks. Okay, so now we're going to go into the... We did all of our after-match powers. We declared our winner. So again, we're going to pick up all of our fans from the stadium, who were, again, our 12th man, helped us with that big goal differential win. And that's going to give me 4 money. Then I'm going to go to my match consequences, and we're going to hope to roll high. We've got a couple fans here to be able to re-roll if something catastrophic happens, so let's see. We're going to get a 4. 4 is a temporary strength on one of my players. And I think I'm going to put that on Teixeira so he can block 2 3s. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, so I'm going to give him a temporary strength. So that was good. All right, now we're going to go over and look at the table. So we are going to move up to 12 points. That puts us top of the table at the moment. We played Greytown, who are the Bulls. So they're right here in at number 7, so they're going to stay. Next, looking at Dafton United, they tied and go to 10. The Blackston Kings tied, going to 8. The Bulls were the loser. SFC lost. They'll stay at 4. And then Middleham tied, and they'll go to 5. Now let's see if poor BFC can just get a mercy win maybe in the next to last week and maybe make a little bit of noise. Okay, so they tie. So we don't have 0 points anymore. We're at 1 point. So they're probably still getting relegated, but at least they can feel okay about it now. At least they did not go winless on the table in this match season. Also Evans played in this match, so we'll make sure he's got his point. He did not score a goal. Yeah, so we are in a fantastic position. We're really just trying in this last turn to maximize our points by maybe we'll acquire a couple of extra staff or build some of our stadium out just to maximize on our points, because the result of this match is going to be pretty okay. Like, even if we lose, we're still not going to get relegated. We're top of the table right now, so I don't see all of these other teams just can't beat us. So we're just going to try and go for a good score here and see what happens. So we've got to pay our maintenance fees before we move into the next round. So we're the same place on stadium. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 staffs. Moves up there. We've got 8 players, which is going to move us all. So this is going to be 3, 5, 7. Chloe makes it 6. So I'm going to take 6 of my money and dump it over here. Now I have 2 fans left over. Unfortunately, I can only carry over 1, so I've got to bin the other fan. Sorry, thank you for coming out and giving us such an excellent 12th-man advantage. And clean up this area over here. So Kaminsky's still hurt. We've got a youngster over here, and DaCosta wasn't able to play. So we'll see where the next round brings us. All right, so that's going to take us again back to our last board meeting. These 3 fine individuals who have served Newbie FC so well. Thank you for your service. Let us go into our last meeting of the season. This is the national team. One of our players was selected for 2 upcoming matches on the national team. They would love to go and they'll learn a lot. We have some important matches coming up. Should we let them go? So the yellow is yes, but only for 1 of the matches. They'll be much more valuable after appearing on the national team. That's going to give us, we're going to lose one of our players, but we get a victory point on any of our strikers. Yes, it will help the player grow, so it'll be 2 red cards, 2 power on any of our strikers, or no, the fans will miss them too much, which is going to give us some strength and then a temporary injury on any of our strikers. So we've got enough players that it's fine. We're not really worried about what happens here. We do need our resources though before that happens. So let's go ahead and roll our die and see where we go. That's going to be a 5. 5 is the fan option, and I think I'm going to re-roll that. It's not really something I'm interested in. So we get a 1. All right, so I'm going to send them to the national team for 1 game. So that's going to be on any of my strikers. So since, hey, this is kind of cheesy, but I'm going to do it anyway. So Kamitsky is still injured. So I'm going to give it to him. He's not going to be playing anyway, but it's going to score me a victory point. So I will definitely take that. Okay. So we've sent him to the national team. Hopefully he learned something in his injured state. Alrighty, so that is going to take us into Tuesday. And for this Tuesday period, I've got a lot of money. I definitely think I want to make some stadium improvements because those are going to be worth some points for me at the end of the game. And then I'm going to look at my staff to see where I can get some utility and score a few extra points. So I think for the first item, I'm going to buy the, I'm just going to buy one of the stadium upgrades. It really doesn't matter which one. I'm going to buy the one that increases my operations generation. I'm not going to be able to take advantage of it, unfortunately, because I'm not going to play another turn, but at least it's worth 2 points. And then I'm going to use Chloe's ability to to upgrade my office for 1 less. So it's going to cost me 2, and score some points. Going into Wednesday, I think what I want to do here is I'm going to look at my staff cards, and I'm going to kind of put them out by their colors so I kind of see where I can get some utility here. So I've got a couple of oranges, a couple reds. Chloe is a green, and so these are all one-offs. So if I get a green or a the tealish looking one, that'll be 2 additional points. So I think that's what I want to do. If I get one of the reds, that's also worth 2. So I'll do that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Maeda Hiroki. So he's going to be my 3rd red staff. He costs 2. So as a bonus, I'm going to increase my fitness production. I do not have another fitness trainer. If I do, I do have another fitness trainer because I have Judy. So that's going to give me 2 fitness. So that's going to be pretty good. I can do some things with that. And that means I don't have to activate Judy. So I can look at the, I used Chloe. I can look at the staff I have available to me and just kind of give it a look. What is going to be the action I want to take? So I don't have a lot of options, unfortunately, because a couple of my staff are giving me fitness. I don't need a lot at the moment. But I am going to use Manuela because she is going to let me, it's going to cost me an ops and a fitness. She's going to let me train a player, and then if I have 3 or more trained players, I gain a victory point. So I'll go ahead and trade my youngster. Because I do have 3 or more trained players, that's going to give me another victory point. And that youngster looks awesome. So he's a 3 goal scorer, so he's a 3 striker. It looks like he's a glass cannon because he gets injured after the match. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, if I had gotten him earlier, like having the doctor would have been awesome, but he's definitely playing in the next match. 3 on the scoring is pretty darn cool, so we're going to do that. Yeah, for sure, that's happening. All right, so going into Thursday, so my last main action, don't need players. Sponsors don't do anything for me at the moment. And I don't have any great bone. I mean, I guess I could just use Judy or Maeda this turn, just have an insane amount of fitness and play all of my players, which I'm probably going to do because why not? But I'm going to spend 3. Be a little careful here, actually. Make sure I have all my maintenance fees. So that's going to be, I did take an additional staff, so that's going to be 6, 8, so 7 with Chloe. So if I get those red cards, that's going to cost me points at the end of the game. But if I grab a stadium upgrade, I think I might have to live with it. Yeah, I think I have to live with it. So as my main action, I'm going to activate Judy. That's going to cost me 1 operations resource to give me 2 fitness, which lets me activate just about everyone. And then I don't have a great bonus action. So I'm just going to go straight into, we're just going to finish this guy off. We're going to go straight into the weekend for match day, and we're just going to start activating basically everybody. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do, so I don't forget this time, is I'm going to put my fans in their seats. We have our 12th man bonus active. We should probably name them. You know, I mean, they're fans of Newbie FC, so they're probably just the noobs. So the noobs are in their seats, and they're ready for the game to start. They're screaming. They're all ready to go as we face Dafton United, who's second place on the table, actually, which is, I didn't arrange it. It just happens. So this is like a grudge match at the end of the season. Love it. So the training sessions of this coach have been focused on tactics rather than fitness. Watch their forwards. They'll probably end up much better teams in the future. So we need to be a little careful of the forwards. So I'm going to put Son here in the mid of defenders. I'll put Kowalczyk on the my right flank, and I'm going to put DaCosta. He's going to go. Oops! I think I accidentally flipped this. So DaCosta is going to. I'm going to leave him on the left. Our new player, Diaz, so he's number 3, which means I'm going to swap number 2 and throw number 3 down here. Flipping him so we know he's a striker. And then we've still got backer up there ready to go. So we're just going to put all of these out, and we have exactly enough fitness to use all of our players this game. So an epic final match. Let's go 0-0, and let's just put it all on the line and see what we've got. Okay, so Dafton United, they are playing. Oh, we didn't. They are playing the 3-4-3. So they're pretty loaded up in the midfield. So starting looking at their left wing versus my right wing. So they've got 2 1-strength strikers. One of them is going to be blocked by my 1-strength striker. The next one is going to be a save by Teixeira. Looking at my right wing, so I've got a strength 4 striker and a strength 3 striker. So both of those are going right past their defender, and the goalie cannot save them because he's a 1. So I'm going to score 2 goals from my right wing. It's pretty awesome. Looking at their right versus my left, they've just got 2 defenders, so no shots. I have a 2-power striker that is going to be blocked by their 2, and I have a... Oh, we made a small mistake here. No, we're right. We're good here. And then we have our 3-power striker who is also going to get past their defender, past the goal, and he is going to score. So yeah, the early part of the game, we're really cruising here. Let's see what they've got to bring back to us, because I do see a couple big numbers down here. So in the midfield, I've got my strength 2 defender. That is going to cancel out their strength 2 striker. Looking at my front, I unfortunately just have the 1-power striker that's going to get knocked off by their defender. They just have 1 defender, no shots here. But their front center is just absolutely brutal. So they're going to score twice because Son is not going to get either of those. They're going to get by the goalie. So they're going to score 2 goals, like right at the end of the game. In injury time, they're going to get those right past me. So, I mean, it started out, they caught up a little bit, but when we look at our aftermatch bonuses, so looking at Son, he is going to score me a goal because of my sold-out stadium. Then we are going to, just absolutely dominate Dafton United. Put out a couple of points because we had Diaz score a point and participate in the match, so he's going to get 2 bonus points there. And yeah, and just an absolutely dominant victory by Newbie FC. The noobs in the stands are just shouting their heads off as we carry off the field. So humble beginnings. We drew in a couple draws, a loss in our first couple of weeks, but man, did we really pick it up after our first couple of games. So that's going to get us up to 15 points and secures our spot at the top of the table. Dafton, the second place team, unfortunately is going to stay right where they are. Blackston, the Kings, they are going to win, and that is going to not parachute, but slingshot them right past Dafton. That is a heartbreaker at the end of their season. The Grayton Bulls are going to win, going to 10 and tying with, that end of season loss for Dafton is just awful. Middleham lost, they stay where they are. SFC drew, they're going to go to 5. And finally, poor BFC is going to draw again. They end the season with no wins and only 2 points from draws. That is, if you're a fan of that team, you are really not feeling great about your season. But, things happen. So I'm going to take my fans from the stands and get my 4 money. Our directors were so happy about the win, they all went crazy sideways. So we're going to get our money after the win. We're going to go to maintenance because if I end up red carding at the end of the game, it's going to negatively impact me. So I have 9 total maintenance that I'm responsible for. Chloe knocks that down to 8. And I have exactly 8 money, so it's a good thing I did not buy any of those end of game upgrades. So now we will go directly into scoring. So we will add up all our points and see where we came out. Now, the important thing is we did win this scenario because we didn't get relegated. In fact, we ended top of the table in the lowest division, so we can advance to our next division. Looking at the end game scoring, so the most important thing is that we won the scenario. That's the number one, right? Our fans in the stands, our 12th man advantage, our noob nation, they are just going crazy because their team is now going up to the next league. So that's, I'm here for them. I'm here for it. I'm chugging a beer with them and crushing the can on my head and every other thing that the soccer hooligans do. But we don't condone burning anything down at any time. So, you guys need to make sure you cool your jet. Maybe when we get to the Premier League, I'll accept a little bit. But for the moment, no. You just handle it responsibly. But now we look at the points that we scored throughout the game, and that's going to give us a kind of like a relative idea of where we fall, like where the game kind of expects us to be. As far as our scoring, so the first thing we do is we look at our league table right here. That's where this team finished. So I finished top of the table. That scored me 15 points. Then I look at all the tokens that I scored throughout the game. Those are going to be my tokens on my staff, my players that we accumulated, and I have 12 of those. I have 10 points for my staff. You can see I've kind of arranged them here in their groups. And looking at Jin Lee, the doctor, you can see that for however many of those types of staff that I have, that's how many points I'm going to score. So in this case, I had 3 of the red ticked staff, which means I score 5 points for that grouping. I scored 4 points for stadium infrastructure. Unfortunately, I was really going to try in the last round to try and get out, or the last couple of rounds to get some stadium infrastructure out. Kind of got short-circuited by my board meeting, but we still ended up okay. 2 points for my office, which unfortunately I was tight on money the whole game, and I really didn't get a chance to dump much of it in the office, even with Chloe's ability. But at least I got 2 points from that. And then the points that we scored for both my personal objective, Loyal Companions, that is to have staff from all 5 sets. That scored me another 4 points. I scored 4 points from the scenario goal of training 3 youngsters. And then another 4 for having staff cards from 4 different sets. So that is going to get me to a total of 55 points. And according to the game, that makes me a reputable manager in the 3rd division. Not quite breaking through into that world-class manager yet, but maybe in a subsequent playthrough we'll be able to really crack into that in another division. So that is 11, the football management game. Great little football management simulator, different theme for if you're really fiending for something that's a little different. A couple really crunchy mechanics, one kind of fiddly mechanic with the match day, but I think once we did it the first time, it really ended up not being too onerous. And yeah, thanks for hanging out with me tonight.
So now that we've had a chance to play through the solo scenario, I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience playing 11, a couple of the pros and cons, and really kind of where it fits, or really if it is something that you should add to your collection. So overall impressions of the game, I really ended up enjoying the football theme. Even though it's difficult for board games to really evoke the emotion of playing a sport. I think that something like this, so it's a management sim, does a pretty good job of getting you into the day-to-day running, and even gives you a little taste of the match day experience too with running a football club. So I thought the experience was good. It is a sort of like medium weight-ish Euro type game, which is right in my wheelhouse. So if you do like that and the theme speaks to you, might also have a pretty darn good time playing this game. So some of the big pros and cons for the game. So first, the pro for me is really the theming. As I mentioned at the outset of this video, I mean, there's a lot of games that cover fantasy settings, a lot of games with Cthulhu, a lot of games with nature and zombies and space, and we've done a lot of iterations of those themes, right? So this being something really wholly different was especially something I'm very interested in. I thought was a lot of fun. So it kind of takes me out of that samey feelingness of of those kind of same themes, and gives me a taste of a little something different. And I think that a lot of the mechanics in the game really added into that theme, making me make choices that were different based on whether I made money style choices, fan style choices, or more like player style choices, as in the case of how my board of directors meetings went, or how I wanted to allocate my resources and increase my resource production throughout the game. Really had that tension around what do I want my club to be, which I can imagine is a lot like when you are running a sports franchise or sports club, a club of some kind. So if you really want to feel like you're really getting into the nitty gritty of running a club, I thought that was a pretty big pro. The second is the mechanics, except for the match day mechanic, which I'll talk about in a little bit. The mechanics are fairly intuitive and fairly well implemented. So the buying of players, buying of staff, and buying of sponsors all was pretty easy for me to figure out, and for me to make some of those choices decently intuitively. Even though I spend a little bit of time thinking about some of those decisions, it really made sense where I was going, what I was doing, and everything flowed together into a pretty cohesive experience. So mechanically, I felt it was a solid, if not spectacular game. Nothing like really innovative other than the match day experience, which again, we'll talk a little bit more about. But if you are comfortable in this style of Euro game, I think you would have a good time with 11. Another pro for this game is the expandability of it. So if this is an experience you ended up liking, your in-box experience isn't bad. So you've got 6 different solo scenarios, but you are a little bit limited by the number of staff, players, and sponsors that you have. So if you just go with the 11 base box, it might feel a little bit samey after playing it a little bit, but there are a considerable number of expansions that you could pick up with 11, including one that has a more robust solo campaign that actually kind of flows together rather than being disparate solo scenarios. There are expansions that let you delve more into your stadium and what you can do with it, different players, more staff. So you can go as deep with this game as you want to. It's very, very much one of those games where if you enjoyed the experience, you can really enhance it and expand it, and just expand out your options and make it eminently more replayable. So cons for this game. I mentioned the match day experience, and I want to talk a little bit about that because that particular piece of the rules is very fiddly. It took me a couple of read-throughs, and then I actually had to watch somebody else play through the match day just so I made sure I understand it and I could relay it to all of you. So there are a couple of mechanics that are a little fiddly and you really have to kind of pay attention to. And I even messed up one or two of them myself just because I didn't do a super careful read of a certain section. So you really have to kind of be on the lookout for that, though I think that once you get through the initial fiddliness of some of those mechanics, it really does become pretty easy, pretty second nature, as evidenced by the fact that I did fly through the last several matches after really getting the hang of it and getting my head wrapped around it. Another con is the fact that the rulebook is just okay. With the fiddliness of the match day experience and a couple of other mechanics and a couple of other idiosyncrasies around some of the iconography, I really wish it had been more clear in the rulebook, especially if there was a better player aid or better bit of iconography that I could have had without having to flip through the book constantly. If you do play this game multiplayer, it would be nice to have a player aid card of some sort, just so that I can keep it in front of me and instead of having to pass the book around a lot of times. So that's where kind of your mileage may vary if those player aids really speak to you and you think that you would get a lot of use out of them, or if you want to play this multiplayer as well, it's a little bit of a con. And then the last one is the table space and the setup and teardown. So as you saw with my playthrough, if I contrast this with Marvel Champions, which was the first solo playthrough I did for the channel, Marvel Champions fits into a pretty neat little package in terms of your play space and your in my ability to film it, right? 11 is not that. It is 100% a table hog. So if you are wanting to do this over multiple sessions, which you might have to because it is a little bit longer of a game than some of your more simple card games, it is going to sit on your table. So if you don't have the recessed gaming table like me that you can cover up and you have animals, or you want to use your dining room table for something else besides gaming, although why would you, then it's going to be tough. You're going to really want to do it all in one session. And really, the more you expand and the more you get into some of those different campaign level elements, the more you're going to want to keep your playthrough out through several sessions, because with the table hogginess, it also is not a short setup. It definitely, you will spend some time just setting up and tearing down, especially with the different kinds of cards, your dice, you're wanting to put your bits in your different places. There's just a lot going on here that is going to take you some time, and it's going to eat into your play time. The total runtime, I think, of my game was probably right around an hour and a half-ish when accounting for everything. So that plus maybe 20-ish minutes of total setup and teardown, it's not worth it, because I still very much enjoyed the game and I didn't mind the setup and teardown because I had a nice experience. But something to keep in mind with this game if it's something you might like to pursue. So overall, at the time of recording, this game was rated 7.1 on BGG. That's probably about right, I think, as far as an overall gaming experience. For me personally, just the game, I would be right around there, maybe something up to a 7.5. But I really love Euro games, and I really love the Euro type management experience that this game provided me. A lot of theme, very simple components. I just love those kinds of games, so that's about where I'd put it. Definitely not one of the best ones I've played, or not one of the best in class cardinal examples of this type of game, but still a really solid representation with a theme that I really enjoyed. If I look at this in terms of where it would go in the collection, so just for reference, I gave Marvel Champions a 4 on a 5-point scale as far as needing to have it in your solo collection. I would rate this game a little lower. I would give it about a 3. It's a game that, with all looking at the pros and cons and looking at the probably not as universal type theme, it's one that I think would fit into a lot of collections, especially if you can afford to maintain a larger solo collection. But it's not one of the first games I'd play, or one that I never think is going to leave my collection. So it really falls into that camp of, if you really love the theme, if you love the medium weight Euro experience, if you love something that is just going to get you immersed into that experience of building and maintaining a club, you're going to like it. And I think that's going to elevate it for you. But like I said, there are other solo games that if people were asking me, like, if I want to start my solo game collection, where do I start? I wouldn't start here, but again, if you like the themes, if you can get over the cons and you really amplify those pros, you're going to like this game. It is a worthwhile addition to your collection for sure. So if you enjoyed the playthrough, give our other solo videos a watch and some of our team playthrough type videos. And as always, if you liked everything you watched, toss us a subscribe, helps us with the algorithm. Give us a like, leave a comment, let me know where I screwed up or just what you like and don't like. So we'll see you next time. Have a great night.